Mr. President, I reserve the right to object. Before I speak to the issue that is before us, the oil question, I wish to alert the other side that when the bill comes over today from the House to restore the minimum benefit under Social Security, it will be my intention to ask that that bill be addressed and that the Senate take it up today and we face it and vote on it as the House is doing. I think it is essential that we do that. I know that requires the consent of all of us, and there may be some on the other side of the aisle who would move to object to my request, but I would ask them not to object in order that we have the chance to vote on this issue. It is an issue of critical importance to the country, the senior citizens of the country, and especially the millions of people who depend on the minimum benefit and do not know what their status is. The President goes on television one night and says everyone under Social Security is going to be protected, and then the next thing that happens, the President's party has acted in a way to do away with the maximum benefit under Social Security, and it is being taken out of the bill that will be coming over here today. So I think it is essential that we have a chance to vote on it to keep the President's promise that he made on television the other night. And so I hope to talk to the chairman of the Finance Committee in due course about how we might work out a chance to have some time to discuss this later when this particular issue arrives, when I make that request that the legislation be held for discussion. Having said that, I now turn to the oil issue, and I commend the senator from Ohio for his leadership over a period of years in dallying with this problem. I agree with what he has said here today, that the $46 billion gift to the oil industry in this country is one of the worst examples of special interest greed in the history of this country. It is plain and simple that the present government is favoring the interests of the oil industry in our country. The amendment proposed in the House is wrong, it is unjustified, and I strongly urge that it should be taken out of the bill. I support the efforts of the senator from Ohio and others here who have spoken and will speak to try to delete the additional benefits proposed in addition to those already in the Senate bill that otherwise will be given to this particular industry. I would say that I think the sponsors of this tax benefit really ought to be ashamed of themselves, because they know, as we all know, that this government of ours is going to have to go out and borrow this money in order to give it to the oil companies. It is not as if we have this money. It is not as if the budget of the United States is in surplus. We are running at a deficit, and so what those who support this benefit to the oil companies are asking in effect is, go borrow this money, then raise the federal debt and pay the extra interest so we can then turn around and give that money to the oil industry in this country. There is not a person in America who does not understand the fact that the oil industry does not need this money. They have got so much money now they do not know how to spend it. In fact, as has been pointed out already, they are spending it now trying to buy each other. So the idea of putting this country deeper in debt and borrowing that money to give it to the oil companies makes no sense at all. As I said, I think people who come in here and make that statement really ought to be ashamed of themselves. We have got other needs for that money. But bringing back the minimum benefit under Social Security is one of the needs. The cutback in other programs that are vital. Home heating assistance to elderly people in this country is a case in point. These are the areas of critical need facing our country. Firming up the industrial base of America and rebuilding the automobile and steel industry and other basic industries, that is where we are short of capital. 175.
175.